From the outside looking in, it's the ultimate paradox. We take the darkest, most horrific day in the history of the world, the day the creator of the universe was mocked, tortured, and publicly executed by the very people he created, and we call it good. In other languages, it's called Holy Friday or Great Friday or Sorrowful Friday. But in English, we call it Good Friday. Why? How can the murder of God be considered good? If you walk into a Catholic church on this day, the altar is stripped completely bare, the tabernacle is empty, the sanctuary lamp is blown out. We don't even celebrate Mass. Instead, we walk up the aisle and we literally kiss the wood of a Roman torture device. To understand why this day is the hinge of human history and why we call it good, we have to look at the brutal reality of what actually happened and the infinite debt that had to be paid. We often sanitize the cross. We wear it as gold jewelry or hang it neatly on our walls, but the Roman Empire designed crucifixion to be the absolute pinnacle of human suffering. It wasn't just meant to kill you, it was meant to completely strip you of your humanity. When the Romans drove iron spikes through the wrists and the feet, they hit major nerve centers, sending shockwaves of pure fire through the body. But the medical reality is that you didn't die from blood loss, you died from asphyxiation. To take a single breath, the victim had to push up on the nail in their feet, scraping their scourged back against the rough wood just to open their lungs. Then they would collapse back down in exhaustion. This went on for hours. It was so horrific that the Romans actually had to invent a new word to describe the pain. The word is excruciating, which literally translates from the Latin as out of the cross. This is what Jesus willingly walked into. But the question is, why? People often ask, if God's all powerful, why couldn't he just forgive us from heaven? Why did there have to be a cross? It comes down to justice. When humanity rebelled against God in the Garden of Eden, we committed an offense against an infinite, eternal being. And an offense against an infinite God creates an infinite debt. Here's the problem. As finite, limited human beings, we couldn't possibly pay an infinite debt. No matter how many sheep or bulls we sacrificed, it would never be enough to bridge the gap. Humanity owed the debt, but only God had the ability to pay it. So what did God do? He became man. Jesus Christ, fully God and fully man, stepped in. As a man, he could represent us and pay the debt on our behalf. And as God, his sacrifice had infinite eternal value. He didn't just overlook our sins, he absorbed them. The cross is where God's perfect justice and God's perfect mercy meet. The exact moment Jesus breathed his last breath, the Gospel of Matthew tells us something incredible happened. The veil in the Jewish temple was torn in two, from the top to bottom. This wasn't just a random curtain. This veil separated the Holy of Holies, the earthly dwelling place of God, from the rest of the world. It was so sacred that only the high priest could pass through it, and only once a year. But when Christ's flesh was torn on the cross, the veil was torn with it, from the top to the bottom, meaning God tore it, not man. God was announcing to the universe, the barrier is gone. Sin has been conquered. Because of the blood of the Lamb, every single person now has direct, unhindered access to the Father. The gates of heaven, which have been locked since Eden, were blown wide open. And right before he died, in the midst of all that agony, Jesus did one final thing for us. He looked down and saw his mother Mary and his beloved disciple John standing at the foot of the cross. He said to Mary, "Woman, behold your son." And to John, he said, "Behold your mother." As Catholics, we understand that John represented all of us in that moment. Jesus wasn't just taking care of his mom's living arrangements. With his dying breath, he was giving his mother the entire church. On Good Friday, Mary became the spiritual mother of all Christians. She stood by her son in his darkest hour, and she stands by us in ours. Good Friday is good because it's the day love conquered sin. It's the day the ransom was paid. But here's the most fascinating part. Jesus' death on Friday was a bloody, brutal execution. So how did that Roman execution become a life-giving sacrament that we still receive at Mass today? To understand how the cross saves us, you have to look at what Jesus did less than 24 hours earlier in the upper room to initiate the new covenant. I break down exactly what happened the night before and how it changes everything about the Eucharist in the video right here. Click the video on your screen to uncover the profound meaning of Holy Thursday, and I'll see you over there. All right, God bless.